Welcome back everyone to another video, and today we're doing our week 5 picks for the NFL season. I honestly cannot believe it's already week 5. The season's already kind of flying by. Now, last week we had our best week yet, only 4 incorrect, so we did bounce back. First couple weeks is kind of like a feeling out period, and then the third week was our worst. Last week, though, we bounced back, did really well. Just a couple things, though. The Steelers game and the Cardinals game, I'm just an idiot. I put the W on the wrong team. You can go back and watch that video. Okay, I promise I'm not cheating, not lying, anything like that. The Cardinals are grayed out. The W is supposed to be on Washington, and I'm just dumb. Same thing with the Steelers. Put the W on the wrong team. So we did lose the Bengals, Steelers, Jets, and then the Browns game as well, which honestly, I'm okay with that. The Jets game was just an absolute downpour as far as like the weather. So the Jets just couldn't really overcome that. Is what it is. Steelers and Colts were like this type of like 3 points. Raiders and Browns were like I think a 4-point deficit for the Browns, and then Panthers and Bengals I think was also was pretty close too. Again, Panthers just back and forth, Dalton in there. But yeah, so I'm very happy with that. Hoping to now continue the pace we're currently at though for this week's games, and we have a lot of really tough ones to pick. Now before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel down below. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We did recently just pass 700, so thank you guys for all the support there. I do really appreciate it. So for this week pick though, at least for this week, there's some tough games, and it's hard to kind of balance the games I want to pick as far as upsets go. So first game though, Buccaneers and Falcons for Thursday Night Football. They're in Atlanta. I like the Buccaneers a lot. I've picked them several times this year, including last week to beat the Eagles, which they did do. I'm going to pick the Falcons, though, in Atlanta, Thursday Night Football. I think the Buccaneers are a strong team, but I don't think they're invincible, especially in those divisional games. And so now playing in Atlanta, primetime football, I like Atlanta's defense. I think they can pull this one off. It's tough. It's tough because the Falcons have shown great flashes at some points, and then other points they haven't been able to move the ball at all. So I go back and forth. I'm going to lean and pick the Falcons here, though, which I believe is an upset. I don't think the spread in this game is very much, though. So I'm going Falcons there. Jets and Vikings in London, 9:30 on Sunday. I'm going with the Vikings. I think the Vikings are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Jets are trying to get together still. They're not a bad team. I'm honestly not worried about it. I think the Jets will be just fine as the season goes on. But they're trying to find their footing. They struggled a lot last week in the rain against the Broncos. This week against Brian Flores' defense, I don't think it's going to be any different. I think it will be very tough. Again, riding the hot hand, picking the Vikings in that one. Next is Carolina and Chicago. I'm a Panthers fan. I don't see how they're going to pull this off because of Chicago's defense. You have the Panthers offense. With Dalton in there, it is a serviceable offense. It's not as bad with Bryce Young in there as it was with Bryce Young in there. But still, looking at it league-wide, it's not a great offense. You have Adam Thielen going down with an injury, and Xavier Legette did step up big time last week, though, so maybe he picks up that production, and it's not that bad. Regardless, though, I think Carolina's defense, it's just not good. I think if there's any game so far this year where Caleb Williams can really break out, it will be this game. It should be this game. It's a home game. It's in Chicago against a bad defense. DJ Moore playing his former team. This would be the game. If I was willing to bet right now, Win Williams will have like a big breakout game of like close to 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, this would be the one. I'm picking Chicago here. I think their defense will definitely slow down the Panthers, and from there, their offense can probably just chip away. But again, I don't know if Carolina's defense will even be that good. So Chicago in that one. Next is the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm picking the Ravens. The Bengals defense has been absolutely terrible, and what we just saw from Derrick Henry last week against the Bills, I don't know how the Bengals are going to stop that, to be honest with you. I really don't. The Bengals, they could not stop the run basically all year. They haven't been able to. And they've just looked very poor. The Ravens can absolutely exploit that. The Bengals offense looks solid. Like they'll probably put up a good, close to 20, I would think, on the Ravens defense. But I think the Ravens are going to get close to 40 on the Bengals defense. I really do. So I'm picking the Ravens in that one. Next is the Bills and Texans. I am very excited for this game because honestly, I'm picking the Texans here, but I don't know what to expect because you have the Bills last week. Very tough game. They didn't play very well, but it was a very good opponent. The Texans seem to be getting better each week. You have like that Vikings loss when you come back and you beat your divisional opponent, the Jaguars last week. So they're still a great team. I'm picking the Texans here in Houston. I think the Bills will bounce back, but I really do think that the Texans are going to be one of those teams. I think 5 weeks from now, we can look back on and say that was the point where they really started to catch fire. And I think it could be this week. This would be a huge win for them. It'd be against a team that's very good in the AFC with Josh Allen. So I had the Texans in this one, but I really can see it going either way. And honestly, I've gone back and forth multiple times when picking that game. So I got to lean with the Texans. I like that they are home. I like their defense, but Josh Allen is going to be tough to stop. I do believe Khalil Shakir is questionable, though, for the Bills. That'd be a big loss if they don't have him, who's currently their leading receiver, I believe. So, yeah, got to go with the Texans there, but I think very, very close, and I'm super excited to watch that game. Jaguars and Colts. I'm picking the Jaguars to get their first win of the year there in Jacksonville against Indianapolis. The Colts have been a very shaky team, and I believe they haven't won in Jacksonville in a very long time now, so I like this pick. I think Jacksonville can finally get it done. They've come close to winning a lot of these games. That 0-4 could really be very close to 2-2, but they've let a lot of games slip out of their reach. They haven't played well down the stretch, and that's what happens. You're 0-4. So I have the Jaguars there. If they lose this game, it might be a long year. I like them to get this win, maybe get some momentum, but if they can't get that done, I think there's going to be some talks about Doug Peterson here in a few weeks as that head coach. I have the Jaguars, though, in that one. Next is the Dolphins and the Patriots. I'm picking the Patriots. You could not pay me money to pick the Dolphins as of right now. They look absolutely terrible, and it sucks because it's because of a huge injury. Injuries are just the worst. It sucks how it just completely derails team seasons and players' careers sometimes. Just awful. But I can't pick the Dolphins. They just have no momentum. They have nothing. Their offense gets on the field, and it's like they're just scrambling to try and make something happen. The timing is completely out of sync from quarterback to wide receiver. The only way I can see them winning this game is if their defense just stops New England basically every time and Devon Achane takes over. That's basically the only way I see them winning this with Huntley in there at quarterback. So I'm picking the Patriots there in New England. Next is Washington and Cleveland. I'm picking the Commanders here. Yes, Cleveland's defense is very good. But as I said a couple weeks ago with the Browns, this team is going to lose a lot of games down the stretch if they do not pick it up and pick it up fast. I mean, there's been games earlier this year, the first couple weeks, where Deshaun Watson was absolutely terrible. He held the team back and they lost. Well, even just last week or even the week prior, the past 2 weeks now, Watson's actually been a bit better. He's been pretty good, and the rest of the team has sold him. So it just sucks. Whenever Watson's doing well, the rest of the team's not. Whenever the rest of the team's doing well, then Watson's not doing well. It's out of sync. It's a bad time for the Browns to try and find some momentum. Washington is one of the hotter teams in the NFL right now. So it'd be a big win for them, but seeing how they just played against the Raiders, I'm not picking them to win there in Washington. I'm picking the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, one of the hottest players in the NFL right now. The best rookie quarterback as of right now, at least based on his current play. Very, very exciting. So I'm picking Washington right there. Next is Arizona and San Francisco. I'm picking the 49ers here. Yes, it could be a good game, but I don't know how Kyler Murray is going to do against the 49ers defense. And I don't know how the Cardinals defense is going to do against the 49ers offense. That's really what it comes down to. I think it's a poor matchup. I think the 49ers offense can absolutely exploit the Cardinals defense, and I think the Cardinals offense is going to get stifled by the 49ers defense, and that's basically the story of the game for me. So I'm picking the 49ers there. Next is the Raiders and the Broncos. Raiders are an interesting team. You have Devontae Adams now likely being traded probably here in a couple weeks. I would assume before the deadline eventually, But they've won some tough games. They beat Cleveland. Cleveland's not a pushover. They're not great, but they're not a pushover. You beat the Ravens earlier this year, and then you get killed by the Panthers. It's just a really weird, just looking at their schedule right now and their past games, it's very strange. I'm picking the Broncos. I think they will tough this one out. They have got some tough wins that I didn't think they'd get personally against the Jets, against the Buccaneers. They've made it happen. So I'm going to pick the Buccaneers there in Denver. We'll see if maybe Bo Nix could have his first, huge game. I think it'd be pretty cool. He's been good enough. He hasn't been great, but they've got wins. That's what matters at the end of the day. Is just give him some confidence, let him develop. I think they are doing good enough right now. If they want to make anything happen in the postseason, it needs to get better. We'll see if that happens. But still, I had them beating the Raiders this week. Next is the Packers and the Rams. I'm going to pick the Packers here. The Rams have struggled off and on. They have a crazy comeback win against the 49ers where, they have, Puka out and Cup out, and it's like, wow, how'd they make that happen? And last week against the Bears, they couldn't beat the Bears. So it's a weird dynamic with them. I'm picking the Packers, down by a lot last week against the Vikings, down 28 at one point. Came all the way back, fell short, but I think the Packers are the better team here. So I'm picking the Packers to beat the Rams in LA. Next is the Giants and the Seahawks. I'm picking the Seahawks here. Giants are, they're just not that good. They're just not. Malik Neighbors is awesome, but the Giants are just not that good. And Malik Neighbors now might be out this week, which is even worse for them. So I'm picking the Seahawks. Seahawks are a very solid team. Almost beat Detroit there in Detroit, Monday Night Football. Definitely a sleeper team. I did talk about that. I can't remember what video it was where I talked about the Seahawks being a team that people weren't really talking about, and they're a lot better than people give them credit for. They're kind of flying under the radar, which maybe they like that. Maybe they like, people aren't really talking about them. They're able to get in there, get some wins that they aren't really, being projected to get, but I think they'll get, better and better this year. Tough division, but anything's possible right now with the 49ers, a little short-handed. So I'm picking the Seahawks there to beat the Giants in Seattle. And then next is the Cowboys and the Steelers. This is a very interesting game for me. I've gone back and forth here because the Steelers have looked very solid. They've slowed teams down. They've got some gutsy wins. But then last week against the Colts, didn't quite look as good, a lot slower. I don't know how I feel about this game, to be honest, but I'm picking the Cowboys. I do think Fields will struggle this week, and that's kind of what I'm banking on when picking the Cowboys. Because if Fields struggles, that offense struggles, and they're not going to be able to get enough points to really slow down this Dallas team. Yes, the defense can maybe slow down Dak for 1 quarter, 2, maybe even 3, but at a certain point, their offense isn't producing. That defense is going to break. That's kind of what I'm imagining for this game. So I'm picking the Cowboys to win. They're in Pittsburgh. And then Monday Night Football, the Saints and the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs. This is it's weird saying this when picking the Chiefs, but this might be a riskier pick. Yes, they're in Kansas City, but they are also now down Rashee Rice. And, they haven't had Hollywood Brown this entire season. So I guess Xavier Worthy's kind of the wide receiver number 1 right now. You would think that Travis Kelce would probably step up in the absence, but we haven't really seen anything to indicate that. Yes, he was better last week, but one game does not really show me personally enough to think he's going to have a not breakout, I guess, but, have like a huge game against the Saints. So I don't know. I'm a little conflicted. I think the Saints offense can definitely do some damage, but I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes in primetime football at home. It's just, I can't do it. He's just that good. I got to go the Chiefs here. So picking the Chiefs to beat the Saints there in Monday Night Football. I have on the screen now all my wins, so it's easier to read, or all my picks, so it's easier to read. Let me know down below though what you guys think your favorite team is going to be doing this week, how your favorite team's season has gone so far. Obviously, me being a Panthers fan, it's been down with 1 up, basically. That 1 win, that was exciting. We'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, make sure you guys leave a like on the video, subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.